Yo, what's going on everybody? This is Brendan back again with another video, and if you haven't noticed, today we're doing a John Wick inspired lighting tutorial. What do you think? Pretty close? Maybe? So anyway, let's see how we did this setup. I'm gonna talk a little bit about lighting theory, a little bit about color theory, and then we're gonna try another look as well on top of this. So let's get started. All right, so if you don't already know, John Wick 3 Parabellum is coming out next month, and I'm super excited. When I originally saw John Wick 1 years ago, I was super in love with the lighting. So John Wick is really known for its beautiful cinematography and for its very rich and varying colorscapes. It has lots of punchy color. It doesn't shy away from color at all. It has a very sort of neo-noir, almost sci-fi aesthetic, which is really cool. This isn't the only movie to have this kind of look. This look is getting more and more popular. So if you want to learn how to do this, I think it's a really good time to learn how to do this and start implementing this type of style in your own cinematography because it's so popular and people want to do it. And John Wick is really a masterclass in using color with light. So when cinematographers are first getting into using lots of color in their films, in their videos that they shoot, a lot of people are tempted to just put a party gel in front of a light and blast it onto their scene and fill an entire room with one color. As you can see, this kind of feels like that, but there's a lot more going on here. So the problem with just blasting an entire scene with one color of light is twofold. The first is that creates a very flat look. Everything has the exact same color. It's like washing your entire image with a filter. And when you do that, there's no separation between foreground and background. And that type of depth is one of the biggest things that makes an image look cinematic. When your viewers are watching the image on screen, you don't want it to feel, you don't want them to feel like they're looking at a two-dimensional image. You want it to feel like they're actually looking at a 3D space that's beyond that screen, actually projecting with some depth, so they actually feel like they're there, feel like they're in it. That's why 3D is a thing. So in order to do that, you need to have some contrast, some separation between your foreground and background. And if you wash your entire scene with just one color, it's a lot harder to create that separation. You can still do it if you do it right, but it's a lot harder. The other issue with blasting an entire scene with one color of light by just taking a light, putting a gel on it, and blasting it is a lot of the times when people are doing that, they're using single point lighting sources, right? So they're using like a Fresnel or an open face light. So when you put a gel in front of the light, it's cutting all the frequencies of light that aren't that color. So you're taking a lot of intensity away from your light. So you need to use a powerful light. So a lot of first-time cinematographers, they use a powerful light that has a lot of punch, whether it be a Fresnel or an open face light or what have you. And a lot of the times it's tungsten units. They have a lot of punch. Maybe a PAR light or something like that, and they're using that and they're putting a gel in front of it and just pointing it right at the subject, pointing it right on the scene and blasting it. What that does is creates a lot of harsh shadows. So I'm a huge proponent of not having lots of harsh shadows, and what I mean by harsh shadows is sharp, right? So if you look at the shadows on my face, they're there, but they have a sort of soft edge to them. They have a soft fall off. And that just creates a more naturalistic feel. You don't really see colors like that with harsh lights. A lot of the times, things that make those colors are things like neon lights, things like you could potentially use colored window curtains. Those curtains are naturally going to create a soft feel. So those are the two biggest issues that first-time or young cinematographers have when they're trying to light a scene with color. They blast the light directly onto the scene, which creates harsh, unnatural feeling shadows, and it also flattens out the image a lot. It removes a lot of the depth. So what are ways around that? You can create more depth by having intensity, so contrast and intensity, right? So you could just shine the light on just the background and leave the foreground silhouette or semi-silhouette. You could do something like that. You could also use color contrast, which is what this scene is doing. The key light on my face is blue, and there's sort of a side, sort of a backlight coming that's red. It's also splashing, playing in the background a little bit with a practical. Also, there's the blue lights in the window. They contrast each other a lot. That creates a lot of separation. So that's why this works so perfectly. So if you want one scene to just be pure red, great. Do pure red, but try to give some contrast and intensity at least then. Maybe make your light fall off softly from one side of the frame to the other side of the frame. And the way that you create a softer look to your light, instead of having harsh shadows, having softer shadows, The way you do that is by making the size of the source larger in relation to the subject that you're filming. So there are a few ways to do that. One, you can move your light closer. That makes the shadows softer because the source of the light is larger and it helps it wrap around your subject more, which fills in the shadows. And the two other ways that you can make light softer are either by bouncing it. So if you shine a light against a wall, it'll bounce off that wall, and then the source is much larger before it comes and hits the subject. And finally, you could also diffuse it. So you could shine your light through a diffusion material. The diffusion material obviously diffuses the light, makes the size of the source larger, thus filling in the shadows better. So that's how you do it. Instead of blasting your light right on the actors, throw some diffusion in front of it first. Or instead of pointing it right at the actors, point it at a wall, bounce it off a wall, or bounce it off a beadboard or something like that, or whatever you have, bounce it off the ceiling. And that will make the light a lot softer, which will make it feel a lot more natural. Cool. So I think that's it. We talked about theory, and we'll also try to do one more lighting setup, and you guys will see kind of my creative process of how I go about trying to figure out how to create a certain look. All right, so here's a wide shot of everything going on simultaneously so you can get a better idea of the scale and size, the distance of the lights and things like that. That's what it looks like. That's the whole shot. So now I want to try to do this look. I know it's kind of far from camera, but I'll punch into it. This is the next look that I want to go for. This also takes place in sort of a nightclub type of scene, but as you can see, it's a different color scheme. But otherwise, it's the same concept of having a key light that's one color and the background is a different color, green and yellow. And so it still creates for a nice color scheme, but also there's still a very distinct amount of separation and a lot of depth and dimensionality to this shot, making it feel super duper cinematic. So this is the next one we're going to try. I'm going to leave the camera running from this angle, super wide angle like this, and I'm just going to try to go through the process of seeing if I can pull this off. I'm going to close this for now. I'm going to have to reference it later for the exact color, but first things first, actually, I'm going to, well, I'll keep all these lights on so that way you can see what I'm doing. First things first, I have another light behind camera here that I'm going to bring into the frame. This light is a light that I use all the time. This is a newer LED light panel. It's a 900 LED light panel. I don't even think they make them anymore, unfortunately. But this thing is a freaking beast. It's battery powered, so I can use my V-Lock batteries, the same ones I use on my camera, and I can just slap this on there. I got two of them from Amazon about 2 years ago, and then they stopped making them, and I found two more on eBay, and I bought them right up because they didn't make them anymore, and I love these lights for their portability. They're lightweight, they don't overheat, they have a whole bunch of punch to them for their size and for their cost. They're very cheap lights, and they have decent CRI as well. So it's all daylight balanced, so I get a lot of punch, a lot of intensity from it. It has a little dimmer switch on the back, so if I turn this all the way up to 100 and turn it on, I'm sure that, let me see what that looks like actually. That's probably really bright. Yep, that's bright as hell. Okay, so you can get an idea of how bright this is. I'm gonna spin it around on the scene, and you can see how much that fills up the scene just on its own. Anyways, I'm not gonna do it that way. I have a softbox for this that I'm actually going to throw on. I probably won't be using this light at 100% intensity either. I'm gonna go grab that softbox. Where is it? I know where it is. I will be right back. This is just a pop-up softbox. Again, super cheap. It's like 35 or 30 bucks on Amazon. That softens the light up a lot. This is what I'm gonna use as the key light. So now that I know I have that established and it's bright enough for you guys to see what I'm doing, I'm actually gonna turn all of these Asteras off, and I'm gonna get them out of the scene. Because, well, I'll be using the Asteras actually, but I'm not gonna have them in the same spot. So, pull this Astera. You can literally see I was just precariously balancing them inside the windowsill here. So there is that Astera. And last but not least, I'm going to turn off this Source 4 ETC Lico light. These things are freaking awesome. I love these lights. This is a 750 watt bulb, so it's very powerful. And it also gets really hot. It's a tungsten filament light. It gets really hot, but it's very controllable. So anyway, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with these Asteras. I might place them on the floor and shine them up as sort of a bottom-up light, which I don't think is necessarily done in that scene of John Wick. I'm not sure, but that's okay. We can take some some creative privileges here. Okay, C-stand's out of the way, and now I'm gonna have a key light coming from the exact same spot as that Astera bulb was coming from. So that's a 45 degrees from the side, 45 degrees above the actor's face. And what that does is it creates what's called a Rembrandt patch, which is basically, it creates a shadow on the nose that creates a little triangle on the opposite cheek, which sculpts the face really well and creates a lot of dimensionality, which you'll see is really, really common in key lights in portraiture and film, because you could use one light to sculpt the face and give a lot of dimensionality. I don't have the exact same color gel, but I have some orange gels in here. I think I have something that might work. Oh yeah, this is a little bit more of like a salmon color. Let's pull that out and see what that does. I need some C47s here, which are in my bag. Okay, I'll grab 2 of these, and I'll clip that on to the softbox and see what that does to the color. All right, so I just adjusted the color temperature from tungsten balance to daylight balance, which makes my daylight light with the orangey kind of gel. So now that makes this light and the whole scene feel a lot warmer. So I'm going to check to see how that looks here. This might be, okay, this is more orange and this is more yellow. And I really like that yellow look. I can't create that yellow look just because I don't have that color gel. I just don't own it. Let's try it. Okay. I want that exact color. And the only way to get that exact color with my setup that I have right now is using these Astera lights. But instead of being blue, it's going to be yellow. Easy. So yeah, let's power this on, and we're going to try to find a color that looks good. So I'm gonna turn this LED off so I can get a better sense of what the color is doing. I can flip through all of the gel presets and find one that matches. So that one's a little too yellow. That one's closer. Amber is really nice. Let's keep flipping through here. Straw might be the one. I've always loved straw. That's really darn close. I think also to make this a little bit more of a Rembrandt light and less, less wrappy, so it wraps my face less, I'm going to rotate this a little bit so it doesn't wrap so much horizontally. Now I'm also going to pull this back on the gobo arm here so it's not so far over in front. Okay, cool. So that's doing that, and now let's add some green in the background. Forest green is pretty good. I'm just gonna do static color green. Okay, that's that. So now we have some green in the scene. It's so obscene. I'm not a rapper. Don't hate on me. Okay, so I literally just put that on top of, I don't know if you could see that from this angle. No, you can't. Awesome. Yeah, I just put that on top of the plant. Okay, let me consult this image. So this is definitely top-down lighting, not bottom-up lighting. So there's a big difference there, but what can you do? Not much when I don't have all my C-stands with me. I'm going to frame up the shot now and see if I could get something that looks pretty similar to this. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that's starting to look a lot nicer. So that is my framing now. Still a little bit tight. I move back a little bit. That's pretty close to the framing that we've got. Pretty close to the colors, actually. I'm actually pretty happy with the colors of that. Again, it's bottom-up lighting in my version instead of top-down lighting in John Wick's version. The catch light in his eye is going to be a different shape because it's a different light that's lighting the scene, but you get the point. So yeah, that's my John Wick tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed that. So this is not meant to be how they lit John Wick. This is just meant to be me trying to create the same look, the same vibe or feel, and teach you guys a little bit about lighting and color theory specifically. So next time you use a lot of color in your scenes, you know how to create more depth and more separation, how to use color contrast to your advantage, and how to have some softer light with your color instead of harsh shadows, making it feel a little bit more naturalistic and real instead of sourcey and amateur. So I hope you guys enjoyed this fun little video. This was a lot of fun for me to put together. I hope it comes across in the edit when I put this together. I have no idea if this is gonna even be something that is enjoyable for you guys to watch. I hope so. So let me know in the comments if you like this, if you want more stuff like this or different stuff, let me know too. Yeah, I wanna make content that you guys enjoy. So that's all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed. I will catch you guys in my next one.